the emerald tablets of Thoth, Thoth, Tahoth, whatever you want to say his name. I believe I'm going to call him Thoth. So the emerald tablets of Thoth here on the New Cosmic Knowledge channel. And yes, we're live. The emerald tablets of Thoth, a new perspective from a former 20-year preacher. Now, if you've followed me for any length of time, you've probably heard me at some time and in some way, how should we say this, poo-poo the emerald tablets of Thoth. And it's interesting that I almost slipped and said the 10 Commandments. That's kind of an interesting thought. But you've seen me or heard me at some time poo-poo the emerald tablets of Thoth. And I'll tell you why. Thoth, we'll go back and forth. Hope it doesn't bother you. And I'll tell you why. Because I have tried no less than probably 20 times. Hey, Mark Center Saint. Hey, Topper Harley. I have tried, I would say, no less than 20 times to get into the emerald tablets. And every time I tried, it was like trying to drink mud through a straw. It was like trying to wade through quicksand. I just could not get into it. I just could not get into it. And it was impossible for me. It just made no sense. It had no resonation. My 4-year-old is cracking up upon hearing me say poo-poo. Well, Jessica, I'm trying to clean up my act because I have your 4-year-old. I have a 5-year-old little angel named Sophia that monitors my language very carefully. And I'm being more aware of the fact that we do have young folks watching and listening. So we're trying to be, much more of a good influence and much more of a good example. So that's what we're trying to do. So you're going to hear me say some of that stuff, and I'm not even going to apologize for it because there's nothing wrong with being polite. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe the Thoth isn't for me. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's not my stuff. And I should have known this because the tablets are emerald, and we'll talk about this. But as soon as that little girl came into my life, Sandra, and blew open my heart chakra, all of a sudden today I sit down and I start listening to tablet 1 of the emerald tablets of Thoth. And I got 3 minutes and 22 seconds into a 9-minute video, and I've got about 20 pages of presentation for you. And this is going to be the emerald tablets of Thoth like you've never heard them before, because I haven't read one word of anybody's introduction. I haven't read one word of anybody's study. I haven't listened to 1 second of anybody's YouTube video. I haven't read one page of anybody's book about the emerald tablets of Thoth. And interestingly enough, Magenta Pixie's new book, which just came in the mail, and I've got all 3 of her books, I just don't know where I have them sitting right now, is about something about the emerald green something or other. So again, I'm in alignment with Magenta Pixie, and she'll be back really soon on the channel. And I've just got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that you will not understand the emerald tablets of Thoth until your emerald chakra, your heart chakra, is open. Now that mine's open, I get it, and I get it good, and you're going to get it good. And it's a completely different perspective, I think. Again, I haven't read anybody else's perspective, but I think it's going to be very powerful. I think it's going to be very helpful. And I think that you're going to be very, very excited to hear what we have to say about the emerald tablets of Thoth. We're brought to you by the MYSTECH movement. Get these MYSTECH bracelets. I got the new red to help for protection. And yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking today about my life. And I'll just share this a little bit and we'll get right into the teaching. I was thinking today about my life, making plans for some big events in the near future. And I remember like 8 or 9 years ago when I was living in a huge house on the shores of Lake Tahoe, driving a brand new Land Rover, swimming with great white sharks and skating with NHL players and making over $250,000 a year. My best year was over 400,000. So approaching $500,000 a year, and sitting in there in that big house with everything I ever wanted, 3 or 4 different Rolexes, which I won, by the way, didn't ever buy one. I won them through Marriott, selling Marriott vacation property. And I remember sitting there empty, alone. And, I usually say broke, busted, and disgusted. I was rich, busted, and disgusted. And now I sit here literally in a trailer. That's right. I live in a trailer because I intentionally said, you know what? I'm going to downsize. I live in a trailer that has less square footage than the room I used to store my hockey gear in. But now I'm living my great basic purpose. I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free, and I've never, ever been happier. And this all ties into what we're going to talk about with the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So without any further ado, let me encourage you to go subscribe to Sandra's channel, Sandra D'Angelo. You can find it right below in the information box. I encourage you to visit serpentanddove.org. I encourage you to visit rawreflections.org, and I encourage you to visit jeffreydarty.com. That's where you can get your MYSTECH bracelets and a lot of other good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that preamble, probably too long of a preamble, but let's go ahead and get into our dynamite stuff on today. And I'm going to try to get it queued up in the right way before I bring it out to you. And I don't know if I'll be successful or not, but I'll do my very best. So this is going to blow your mind. And I'm telling you right now, some of you aren't going to agree with my conclusions about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. My heart chakra is blown open. I'm in the second day of a 11-day fast, and I'm receiving download upon download upon download, and I expect to receive downloads live on air while we're doing this. And this is all straight. This is my, like Sandra says on her channel, these are my intuitive perceptions of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I think they're more. I think they're divine revelation, but I don't want to be so presumptuous. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go into what I think is a great revelation concerning the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. We're only going to get about 3 minutes into the first tablet, so don't expect this to be an all-day thing, but I will come back later today with more on tablet 1 of these Emerald Tablets of Thoth. From New Cosmic Knowledge, Jeffrey Darty and Rooney laying here on the side, lending his support. Callie in the bed, lending her support. So, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I'm taking it from the first word of the Emerald Tablets and just going through it like we're reading a book and we're sitting around the dinner table discussing it. Thoth claimed to be an Atlantean. And his claim, the tablets and him dictating them basically, claimed that he was the Thoth of Egypt. And as you see him drawing plans there in that picture, it's interesting because he claimed to be the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, when you first get into the tablets, it's a little bit difficult to discern whether or not he left Egypt to go to Atlantis, or was he in Atlantis first? And there's even some implications that Egypt and Atlantis could have been one in the same. Now, I know that's going to blow some gaskets out there. I don't think I've ever heard that before. But if you listen or read the very first lines of Tablet 1, he's not real there's not real great specificity in there. There's really not. And, just a word back to, everything we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Sandra comes into my life, and, she comes into my life for more reasons than just for me to have a great relationship. She comes into my life as the other half of an Elohim being to my Elohim being, and she comes into my life to spark creation. And none of this happens if Sandra's not in my life. None of this happens if Sandra's not in my life. And this is why I'm saying, listen, guys, seek out your divine coupling, seek out your divine union, because whether it's twin flame, soul mate, twin mate, whatever it is, if you can find the female counterpart to your male Elohim or the male counterpart to your female Elohim, be you gay, straight, bisexual, transgendered, whatever, it's a spiritual thing, not a biology or plumbing thing. If you can find that person, you'll be better. And I'm better, and this is a result of it. So we need to thank Sandra for this great information that we're receiving, because without an open heart chakra, I never would have received this. But it's interesting because and I think it's left intentionally vague. Was he from Atlantis and went to Egypt? Or did he leave Egypt and go to Atlantis? Or, gulp, were Atlantis and Egypt the same? Now, these emerald tablets are reputed to be the wisdom of Atlantis. Now, if this was pre-Egyptian, boy, that's some wisdom, because that would have meant that Thoth was in Atlantis first, and he took the wisdom of Atlantis to Egypt, show him how to build some pyramids, and boy, there's a lot of speculation on what those pyramids were about. Now, if Atlantis was founded after Thoth left Egypt, then he took the wisdom of Egypt there and no doubt expanded on it. So, I mean, this is a really amazing idea to even ponder. Was Egypt built on Atlantean wisdom, or was Atlantis built on Egyptian wisdom? Either way, that's a lot of wisdom, cousin. Either way, that's a lot of wisdom, cousin, or even if they're both the same. Or was the Atlantean civilization an extension of the Egyptian? Was the Egyptian civilization an extension of the Atlantean? Were they concurrent? It seems like they were concurrent. One of them started first, or did it? I can't wait to get, if Sandra wasn't on vacation with her family, we'd be doing this together, because I really would love to get her input and her feedback. And I can't wait to get on the air with her and have disagreements. No, I think Atlantis was first. Well, honey, I think that Egypt was first, because disagreements and not just saying, oh, yes, dear. Yes, honey, it brings out more fuller truth. And that's what we're all about. And it's beautiful to have someone in your life that you can do that with. So either way, there's a lot of wisdom. So that was kind of from the preamble of the first tablet. So now let's get into the first tablet itself. And as you read the first tablet, it's kind of like, yeah, I think that brother was probably in Atlantis first, because it seems like he went from Atlantis to Egypt. And it seems like as you listen to it or read it, I happen to listen to it. It seems like in the first tablet that Thoth started in Atlantis. And not only did he start in Atlantis, but he probably had several incarnations in Atlantis, several lives in Atlantis, or several extensions of his life in Atlantis. Because if you read Atlantis, wow, that's a great name. If you read, just making sure I don't miss anything. If you read or listen to these tablets, Thoth says that he lived many lives in Atlantis, or at least many lifespans. But it's so interesting because it's not like, oh, I was reincarnated. It was, we'll get into it. Because he says he was renewed, he renewed his life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows. He renewed his life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows. Now, to me, that doesn't necessarily say that he was reincarnated. That doesn't necessarily say that he died and came back to life. It says literally that his life was renewed in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows. So what exactly are these halls of Amenti and this river of life? And this was a download. The river of life flows eternally onward. What do we know within our dimensionality? What do we know within our world that flows eternally onward? Very few things other than time. And the river of the Amenti is where the river of life flows. And it sounds to me like this river of life that flows eternally onward may be time itself. And the reason that Thoth is using such odd language here about life being renewed in the halls of Amenti is because it's very possible that the Atlanteans had mastered technology, be it real physical tech or be it spiritual technology, that they had mastered technology that allowed them to step out of time. So when Thoth was saying that he renewed his life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows, or where it doesn't flow, as it were, where it could be stopped or altered, if you can stop that which flows eternally onward, if you can stop time or step out of time, it'd be very easy to renew your life if you had mastered the flow of time. And ladies and gentlemen, I've had moments in my life, and right now I'm living in a very, I want to say odd, but it's not really odd. It's more exciting, and it's somewhat not disconcerting, but every now and then it's what would you say if you got a little dizzy, a little disorienting at times? And people have been telling me, Jeff, I watch your videos, you look different, you change, you ripple, you shape shift, and some of that is driving through Alligator Alley where there's just not very good internet connectivity. Let's just be honest. And I do have the emerald ring on today. Let's just be honest about that. But I have seen this, and I mean, even Sandra says, dude, sometimes you just look different. I'm talking about my eyes becoming more piercing and clear blue, like Hecate's eyes. Anyway, I say all this to say that I think that I have, through my work, through my fasting, through my meditation, through my willingness to go into the dark night of the soul and do the inner work, through my writing technique, I think I'm phasing between realities. I've even asked myself that the person I look at in the mirror, the person you look at on these videos, is this a 3D avatar presentation of a being that's already moved to a higher level? Or am I bouncing back and forth? And Sandra's had the same feeling. I know it's crazy stuff, but we're in the crazy stuff business. And listen, if you're watching this channel, people think you're crazy anyway. And if you are watching it, you are. You're not a normal duck. If you're watching because you love me, you're not a normal duck. If you're watching because you hate me, you're not a normal duck. Because if it wasn't having an effect on you that hate me, you wouldn't keep watching. And here's more of that language that makes me wonder. Thoth said, many times have I ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength renewed. So it looks like a mente is in a place that is dark. A mente is in a place where the river of time can be altered. And if you can step out of time, which I have no problem getting out of my body exteriorizing, and I can teach you to do that. I can correct your life track, your analytical life track, and get you exteriorized within 7 appointments. Guaranteed. JeffreyDarty.com, let me know. SerpentDove.org, let us know. We can both work with you. And once you get exteriorized, let me put a caveat on that. If you'll start a meditation practice under the tutelage of Sandra, or at least following her directions, then I can get you exteriorized. I can get your life track completely repaired. I can get you your comforter activation, and I can get your connection to the divine database. And I can get you exteriorized where you're astral projecting at will within 7 appointments. Guaranteed, if you'll enter into a meditation practice with Sandra. And that's maybe how we'll start that whole thing. The first thing you do, we meet together, the 3 of us. Sandra teaches you how to meditate. We meditate together, show you how to do it. And then we move into the life track analysis and repair. And then after you've done that, if you have some work with addiction or, the whole PSN thing, psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, controlling relationships, you can go back to Sandra and go to work on that. That's a really good idea. So a mente is in a place of darkness. A mente is in a place where you can step outside of time. And being outside of time, you can obviously renew yourself. You can rest. And we have a really bad perception of darkness in our society. And like Thoth said, many times I have ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength renewed. And darkness gets a really bad rap in our modern culture. And it gets a really bad rap in our modern culture because of the rise of Abrahamic religions. Judaism, light and dark. Light is good, dark is bad. Christianity, light is good, dark is bad. Islam, light is good, dark is bad. Big time religion wants you to believe that dark is bad. Always. and that light is good always. But really, there's no good, there's no bad. We know it's all intention. It's just like energy. We talked about that yesterday. Energy is just energy. It's neither good nor bad. Electricity doesn't care about you. It will either light your studio so people can see you in a comfortable way, or it will kill you, depending upon how you choose to access it. Electricity doesn't care about you. It's energy. And it's probably the core energy of this universe. And energy is the same way. It doesn't care about you. Energy has no intention, but energy can be clouded and colored by the intention of the intention of the person that projects it. We talked about that yesterday or the day before on the alchemy of psychic self-defense. You got to watch that. But darkness gets a bad rap. But yet Thoth says, if I go into a place of darkness, and how many of you would rather sleep with the light on than in dark? I'll wait. How many of you, when you relax, love a big glaring light shining down on you, or do you prefer some nice, quiet darkness? How many of you find being in front of two big spotlights more peaceful than being in a nice, dark, cool, comfortable room? I think you get what I'm getting at. Thoth is telling us that there's a place of darkness, not darkness, but restful darkness, peaceful darkness, calming darkness, where you can go there and you can sink into this beautiful, enveloping, restful darkness. Somebody says that sounds like the concept of soul sleep. Don't get too far down that road. But you can rest in this place of darkness. And that you can be renewed. You can rest. You can be renewed in this place of darkness. What if the halls of Amenti are a place outside of time that allows one to rest and renew in darkness and then walk back into life refresh? And there's that word again, walk in. What if, I told you some downloads were going to come. What if, as we exist within any particular quantum reality, the one we're in right now, the one we're sharing, what if, you listen to Sandra and Deborah L. Smith and Magenta Pixie, and I think Heidi, me, Rex, Wayne, talking about, did we have a walk-in? Well, what if it's not a walk-in at all as we understand it, but what if we have all of these quantum consciousness and all of these quantum realities, and let's just say there's 11 Jeffs, okay? Just get a round number. And Jeff in quantum reality A is running out of steam, and he needs to go into the halls of Amenti and rest and renew. Well, maybe a Jeff that just got out of, maybe Jeff C will come in and take the place of Jeff A while Jeff A gets refreshed. And maybe it's all of your higher selves, all of your quantum realities. Maybe there's quantum groupings. I like to think of 11 of them. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. And you are kind of like, think about it. It's like if you when I went to college, we didn't study anthropology all day. We had anthropology class. And then we went and studied physical geography. And then we went and studied cultural geography. And then we went and studied statistics, which I hated because I had all A's in college, all A's in 6 years of college, except for statistics. I got a D, and a D does not mean dandy. I got a D. And then I took the class again because you can throw out the first one, and I got another D. Only one guy taught it at that college. I blame him. So instead of having a 4.0 average, I'm saddled forever with this 3.87 because of those D's, that D that wasn't dandy on my academic record, which you couldn't care less about. But anyway, what if that's the truth? What if that's the case? It would explain a lot of things. But anyway, it gives you an idea of why they being the keepers of the matrix, whether it's the religious matrix, the governmental matrix, the education matrix, or the cultural matrix, this fear and guilt control matrix, they want you to believe that darkness is bad, because the last thing they want you to do is discover the peace of darkness in the halls of Amenti, because the last thing they want you to do is to descend into the halls of Amenti and be renewed. The last thing they want you to do is to descend into the darkness of the halls of Amenti and then get renewed, with your strength renewed, to rise again into the light. That's the last thing they want. So they make darkness bad, 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 and light good, 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 good. And light is no gooder than dark, and dark is no badder than light. They're two necessary things. I remember the first time Sandra said to me, "Oh, I think darkness is very important." I'm like, what? No, that's bad. And it was my old programming, my old tapes of, the Christian concept. But this shows us that there is a useful place for darkness, peace, relaxation, calmness. And there's a place for light. So anybody, any thought, and it's funny that Thoth and thought are kind of the same. So if you think about this, if you Thoth about this, it really makes sense. So anyone, any place, anything, any ism, any teaching that tries to tell you darkness is bad, 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 don't ever deal with it, they're lying to you. Maybe they don't know any better. Maybe they do. Maybe they're trying to keep things from you. But as I continue to listen to that first book, I believe that Thoth was in Atlantis first, because he talks about his many Atlantean incarnations. Then he talks about going to Egypt. And then he talks about leaving Egypt, which he calls Chem, and being incarnated again. So Thoth spent many incarnations, or had many renewals, in the halls of Amenti, in the darkness, where the river of life flows. And then he went to Egypt. But he doesn't talk about being renewed in Egypt, does he? Now that's interesting. I knew something, and more downloads would come. Because the river of life and the halls of Amenti were in Atlantis. So even Thoth could not be renewed, reincarnated, refreshed, whatever, in Egypt. He had to leave Egypt and go back. He says, I got to take off from here, Kim. And I got to go back to Atlantis and go back into that peaceful darkness and be renewed again. But he said, I'll be back. I'm not going to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. And before he left, he said, listen, guys, don't be chatty Cathys. Don't be yap, 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 and all of your good stuff to everybody. He said, listen, I got to go. I got to go back to Atlantis, and I got to get renewed. And that seems to imply that it takes some time. But he said, listen, the secrets that I've shared with you, don't share them with the men of the North, and don't share them with the men of the South. Now, if you're an American, you automatically think about the Civil War, the North against the South, or as we like to call it, the War of Northern Aggression. But we're not going to go there. To the north of Egypt was the great Anglo races, the Norsemen, the Englishmen, the Scots, the Irish, the Odocartes out on the cursed rocky crags of Donegal. We were never conquered. It means the destroyers. But to the north was the great white races. To the south of Egypt was the great black races. And if you think about how history has unfolded and how this paradigm has been created of black against white, of us against them, and we hear about race wars, and I literally every day I get some black person that writes me and says, I'm an Edomite. Because you're white, you'll never know the truth. Now, I don't get many messages from white people saying you won't know the truth if you're black. Well, I'm not black, but it seems to be a black thing right now, and I don't get it. Now, there's been white things before, too. KKK and that kind of thing. But it's like there's a BKK or a BKKK, a black KKK. And I think maybe Thoth was saying, listen, There's people in those Anglo races up north. There's people in those black races down south that if you spill all the beans to them, they could use these secrets to push their agenda and not the agenda of the brotherhood of men. I'm all about brotherhood, ladies and gentlemen, sisterhood, humanhood. I'm all about embracing diversity. I'm all about diversity within unity. I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, brown, and any other permutation. I don't really care. I don't care if you're gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, whatever you are. All I care about is what's in your spirit and what you want to do and where you want to go. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm being attacked. And you know what? I don't suffer any direct attack because I know how to do the transmutation, and these entities know that they come around me. I will snatch them, I will drain them, and I will strip their intention off their energy. I'll keep their energy. I'll use it for myself. I'm in the second day of a fast. I can use it. Jeff, why are you so high energy? Well, anytime some entity gets around me, I take in their energy. I cleanse it of intention. I throw that intention out into an area of the universe where it is too small. The particles are too small to ever recoalesce. And I keep their energy and I use it. When people hate me, and like I said, it's 50%, it's 51% love me, 49% hate me. And sometimes it goes the other way. It depends upon the day. It depends upon how big a jerk I was that day. Because sometimes I'm a little bit of a jerk and it might tip to 51 hate, 49 love. Mostly it's 50-50, depending on how obnoxious I am that day. And since Sandra came into my life, I'm less and less obnoxious. But that's why I have so much energy, because I got a lot of negative energy being directed at me. I grab it. I take it. I cleanse it. I send out the bad intention, because energy is just energy. I strip the intention, send the intention out. And now I've got all this energy. So these dichotomies that put black against white and old against young and American against Russian and Russian against Chinese, it's all a plan to keep us at each other's throats, to keep us out of the restful darkness, to keep us out of these secrets that Thoth gave to us. And I think that Thoth prophesied that both the great Anglo races and the great black races would fall into error. And he warned against giving them the secrets that could lead to one group being able to dominate the other. Because there's white people that want to dominate black people. There's black people that want to dominate white people. I just want everybody to breathe free and to live divine and sovereign and free. So I'm not giving you all the secrets I know, at least not over these airwaves. So let's talk about a Menti. Let's talk about this river of life. I believe it's a place beyond time. Thoth told the Egyptians he was descending again into the restorative darkness and that he would be back. It's easy to see how Christianity usurped and twisted the Thoth imagery to craft into their AI or artificial intelligence Jesus. I just did that show yesterday. Watch it. Jesus is AI. You can see how Christianity tried to twist the truth of Thoth descending into darkness by creating this Jesus character that never existed, never got crucified, never got buried, but yet he goes into darkness, right? He goes into the belly of the earth. And then this Jesus rises again, the only person that has eternal life. And you've got to go to the people that represent him if you want eternal life. Whereas the Thoth imagery tells us that each one of us can and should descend into restorative darkness, and each one of us can renew and rise again in life and in light. There's not one dude that was the Christ. We all have the Christ within. There's not one dude that descended into darkness, restored himself, and rose to life again. It's every dude and every dudette that talks about it, that thinks about it, and realizes, wow, there's a reason why they made darkness bad. There's a reason why they want us to believe only one guy ever did it. Because, cousin, if every guy and every gal does it, their gig is up. They're twisting the truth to keep it out of our reach. They're hiding the truth to keep it out of our reach. But guess what? We are blowing up, ladies and gentlemen. The channel is surging again. 2 days ago, I hit 13,000. 2 days ago, I hit 14,000. Now we're well on our way to 15,000. We'll be at 15,000 by the end of this month in number of subscribers. By the end of this year, I bet we're pushing 25,000, and it won't be long before we're 50, 100,000, a million subscribers. Well, why do you care, Jeff? Because I care, because more people hear this message. It's not about my ego. It's about more people hearing this message. And folks, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and some of you don't like me. Here we go, pushing it towards 51 hate. The message that I bring to you hasn't been heard in 2,000 years. The last person that brought the messages to you that I do was the Apostle John. It's that simple. So we need to review the truth that we've already discovered from the from the Emerald Tablets and from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Thoth was an Atlantean. He built the Great Pyramid. He was the Thoth of Egypt, the god, the co-god of Egypt. The Emerald Tablets are the wisdom of Atlantis. The first tablet shows us that Thoth came from Atlantis to Egypt, and then he had many lifetimes in Atlantis where he would renew his life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows. It looks like the river of life is time, and that the Atlanteans had mastered some technology that allowed them to step out of time and space, renew themselves in restorative darkness, and then come back or spring back into life. That's why the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, want to give dark a bad name. The halls of Amenti is essentially a place outside of time that allows us to rest, renew, and walk back into life refreshed. Is there quantum groups of us that cycle through and help each one of us make it? Can you imagine that? Maybe you're being reincarnated or walked into multiple times, 11 times in every life. I don't know. Thoth was in Atlantis first. For some reason, couldn't get refreshed and renewed in Egypt, so he had to go back to Atlantis. And he said, listen, don't spill all the beans. Christianity twists this information. And what we learn from the Emerald Tablets is that we used to be better. We used to be wiser. And I'm going in order of the Emerald Tablets. You can start reading or listening, and this goes boom, boom, boom. We used to be better and wiser. In fact, there used to be many beings of light walking among men. There was always regular men, regular women, regular boys, regular girls. But there was more beings of light, as Thoth says, mixed among them. Check this out. Try this on for size. We're beginning to become wise again. We're beginning to understand again as we throw off the Abrahamic religion. What if we've got this whole ascension thing wrong, this whole event thing wrong? What if instead of us ascending and leaving this earth, and I still think some of us will, what if there's some of us that are called and chosen and tasked to be these new beings of light which walk among men? What if now that Yahweh has been deposed, what if we're being renewed, we're being instructed, we're becoming better and wiser again, so that beings of light may once again walk among men? Have we fallen into the 2,000-year-old Christian Jesus is coming back imagery? Have we allowed that to make us look for beings from beyond? Oh, we think the enlightened ones are going to come. We think the enlightened ones are going to come back. We think the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and the Alpha Centaurians, and I have to say it, the beings from the dark side of Uranus, we think they're coming back to save us. Blue avians are coming back to teach us. Green Martians are coming back to teach us. White Nordics are coming back to teach us. Where's the black ones coming back to teach us? Sounds racist to me. Oh, that's funny. I don't care who you are. What if none of that's happening? What if none of that's happening? Download. What if none of that's happening? What if there's nobody coming from the dark side of Uranus? What if there's nobody coming from the Pleiades or Alpha Centauri or anywhere else? What if they're already here? What if we are the beings of light? What if we're the blue avians? Blue shirt. What if we're the blue avians? Let's take it another step. What if we already came from, Sandra's convinced she came from another place. I can't remember exactly where that place is. I wish she was here. I'm convinced I came from another place. What if the enlightened beings already came here? What if we're the enlightened beings? And what if we're supposed to be raising up to take our place and to move into our light bodies and to move into our higher frequency so we can be the beings of light that walks amongst men? We're gods and goddesses in training. We were born from gods and goddesses. Rooney, if he wasn't medically incapable, would love to get with Callie and have some kittens. And I guarantee you that if Rooney and Callie hooked up, they would not have puppies. If Rooney and Callie hooked up, they would not have gerbils. If Rooney and Callie hooked up, they would not have a calf. If Rooney and Callie hooked up, they would have kittens of the same nature and being as they are. The Elohim hooked up, the male Elohim and the female Elohim. And guess what they had? It wasn't kittens. It wasn't puppies. It wasn't gerbils. It was baby gods, you and I. That's just what the ancient Hebrew language says. Maybe we bought the Christian he's coming back imagery, even though we fight against it. Maybe we are looking for other beings to come from other places. That's why I love Magenta Pixie. She's like, yeah, I'm channeling, but I really think I'm channeling higher aspects of myself. They call themselves the Council of Nine, the Great Winged White Council of Nine, or something like that, which is a really cool name. But she's like, you know what? They're probably just higher aspects of me. That's good stuff. Maybe you're the new gods. And I'm studying something right now that you're probably going to laugh about. Yeah, it's a comic book series, but there's something in this. It's called The New Gods, as they really are. And something tells me there's some hidden wisdom, some coded messages within this, and we're going to get into it. What if we are the new gods? What if nobody's coming back to save us? What if nobody's coming back to enlighten us? What if nobody's coming back? What if the Pleiadians are already here and you're them? What if the Arcturians are already here and you're them? What if the, give me something else, Zeta Reticuli are already here and they're you? What if the Martians are already here and they're you? Instead of looking and waiting and praying and chanting and ringing bowls, doing all, I'm not saying any of that stuff is bad. Instead of beating drums, maybe you just should sit in meditation and find out if you're the being of light that's supposed to come into your fullness and walk amongst men. What if the beings are already here and we're just too lazy? And this is what I talked about at the beginning. Your heart chakra, which just happens to be emerald green, the emerald tablets, the emerald chakra, it has to be open for you to be able to understand the emerald tablets. And Abrahamic religion does everything it can to shut down your heart. It does everything it can. It tries to take this beautiful emerald chakra and tell you that your heart, Paul said this, the heart of man is desperately wicked, an evil, the depths of which cannot be plumbed. Paul said your heart is black. Why do you think they want you to hate your own heart? Why do you think they want you? And if it's black and it's dark, the last thing you want to do is look into it. It's like a horror movie. Don't go up the stairs. Don't go into the basement. It's never good. They don't want you going upstairs. They don't want you going into the basement. They want to teach you that the heart chakra is bad. It's black. It's dirty. It's unredeemable. You got to take a black heart and red blood if you want to be white as snow. I want to choke myself for all the times I said that. He can take a black heart, cover it in red blood, and make it white as snow. It doesn't even make any sense. If you cover something with blood, you're not going to make it white. You're going to make it bloody. But here's this beautiful green heart chakra. Here's this beautiful green emerald revelation about descending into cooling, saving, refreshing darkness and rising again to newness of life. No wonder Abrahamic religion, Judaism, Christianity, Islam tries to tell you that your heart is black and desperately wicked and evil. Oh, you can't trust your heart. You got to trust the Lord Jesus Christ, who was created specifically to keep this truth from you. And until you get that revelation and open up your heart chakra, you can't understand the emerald tablets. The emerald chakra must be open for you to understand the emerald tablets and the revelation of Thoth, period. Abrahamic religion shuts it down, and so do dummies who are affected by Abrahamic religion. I raise my hand. I'm guilty of that charge. I shut down my heart chakra on purpose. And I'm not totally sure that it didn't have some efficaciousness for me over time, but obviously it had to be blown open because here comes Sandra, boom, and then it's just boom, 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 boom. Just, that was for free. But the thing we need to understand from the Emerald Tablets so far is that gods used to live amongst men. That idea is ubiquitous in ancient literature. Whether you go back to the Sumerian epics, gods living amongst men, the Egyptian epics, gods living amongst men, the Indian epics, Far East India, India, not American Indian, Indian epics, gods living with men, Native American epics, gods living with men, Central South America epics, gods living with men. Sorry, baby, I'm live on air. Gods used to live amongst men. Thoth's father was a deity living amongst men, teaching men the secret so they could join the ranks of the gods. Were these the Elohim? I think so. Is this our destiny? Yes, I think so. We're also taught and conditioned to fear fire. Yet Thoth says that we learn via the fire of wisdom. What's the fire of wisdom? The fire of wisdom is the burning up of the ego. And you can't know that until you've burned. You can't know that if you haven't burned you to the ground. You got to burn you to the ground. You can't get there until you strike a match and watch you burn. Because only in the consuming flame is wisdom attained. And each of us, I think I've gone too far, but I got to finish this up. Each of us are called before the keeper of the temple. He, she, they call all people that have a true desire. They call us to evaluate us. They call us to take measure of us. They call us to let us know. Have you had your appointment? Have you been called before the keeper of the temple yet? Here's another great truth. I've been talking about this over the last few days. Gods incarnate in physical bodies. We read about this. And folks, we're living this. We are gods incarnated in physical bodies. On which level of development are we? You may be a physical, natural man or woman. You may be in this time and place to learn and develop and grow. Or you may be one of these gods that is embodied in physical reality to come to the place where you can be the being of light that's educating and helping the regular men and women that are just on a different place of development. There's no ego here, because the people that are here as beings of light are in just as much of a development mode towards another calling, another job, as the people that are here as physical people are. So if you're here as a physical person, don't say, oh, I wish I was here as a God incarnate. You just got to do your due. You do you, I'll do me, and everything will work out. And then Thoth said we learn in a temple. All of us have to learn in a temple. And guess what? This body is called a temple. So whether you're in this body as a physical being, you're in a temple appropriate for your level of learning. Don't hate that thing. That's why the master said, don't despise the day of small beginnings. Who knows what you've been through? Who knows what the battles you fought to get to this place where you are now? Who knows what you've done to receive this glorious opportunity? And if you're a God incarnate in a temple right now, the best way to mess that up is to look down and say, oh, well, I'm a God and they're just a person. You will be an ant like that. I've never been really good at snapping my fingers. A mente is an underground throne. It's in the darkness outside of time, the river of life alongside the purifying flame. A mente means going into the dark night of the soul. How many times have you heard Sandra and myself and Rex and Wayne talk about the dark night of the soul? This is what we're talking about. Going to a mente. Daring to go into the basement, daring to go into the attic in the middle of a horror movie, and burning up your ego. Ask Sandra if her ego got burned up. Ask me if my ego got burned up. Ask Wayne, ask Rex, ask Heidi. Being cleansed by the river of life or a river of tears. And only after you've gone into the darkness, and it starts out dark and shadowy and difficult, but then you come to the restfulness. Now when I go into meditation, I'm going into that renewing and restorative dark. My ego burned up. Every now and then I got to strike a match and light a little bit because it tries to grow back. And I have cleansed myself in the river of life, the river of tears, and I have emerged in service to others. Gods sit outside of time, which is what we're learning to do, and I can teach you to do it. At the end of the day, at the end of this message, this part of the first emerald tablet of Thoth, he says that there are lords of life and death. Sounds a lot like Lord Shiva to me. Jeff, why do you like Shiva? Shiva's a destroyer. Well, Shiva's a destroyer of ego and a creator of new life. You know who the lords of life and death are? That's us. That's us. We're working to get there, to the place where we're no longer bound by life or death, where we move beyond the constraints of life and time and space. I already know how to get out of the constraints of this physical body. I already know how to get out of the constraints of the space-time continuum that rules this reality. I'm learning how to get out of time, and I can teach you all this. I am mastering MEST, M-E-S-T, matter, energy, space, and time. And the time will come very soon where I'll be able to be I'm already learning to be a master of energy, transmutation. I think I'm going to learn how to transmute space from here to there. I'm learning how to transmute time. And I'm also learning how to transmute matter. Telekinesis, that kind of stuff. But you can't do it for a parlor trick. You can't do it to pat yourself on the back. You can't do it to make a good video. You just have to master matter, energy, space, and time. Become a lord of life and death. That's our destiny. Our destiny. It's our calling. It's our inheritance. It's our destiny. And I think we're done. We are. That's part 1 of tablet 1. Wow, huh? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? If you have to go, I understand, but you taking the time to listen to me, I think that I should at least take the time to listen to you somewhat and go into the chat room and give you my time to answer your questions. If you can't stay, you can't stay. I understand that. We've got a really nice crowd. That's very, very good because I love to see more people hearing this. Miss Space Cake talks about Anunnaki made. Mini ego wars. Comes down to bloodline, says Catherine. The river of darkness is the death of the river of life. To death is pain. I don't know if I all agree with that. Breaking Dawn says she did it. Jesus was made by our thoughts. The Jesus that now exists, Anunnaki made, definitely is a tulpa that was created by our thoughts and the thoughts of millions, billions of Christians on the planet. Can energy stop or be stopped? Yes. Brooke Bollinger thinks that Jesus was an incarnation of Thoth. I don't know, maybe. Could Thoth be Enoch? I don't know, maybe. There must be a meaning of the story of Mary that had Jesus. Come from where? That came from 50 different religions, Catherine, that all have that story. Jeff, where does it state in the Bible that God created the soul? I would say Genesis 1:26. The law of one has been very powerful in Sandra's life. Brooks Bollinger is preparing himself. The belief that the secrets are good promote division. That's interesting. I've kind of thought that in most cases, the energy isn't biased. So even if the intention is either positive or negative, once that energy is transferred, it's on us, and intention is a distraction. Yeah, Joshua, what I'm saying is energy shot at you like an arrow, a flaming arrow. You catch the arrow, you've taken control of the energy, you blow the arrow out, you remove the intention, and you can ingest that energy and use it for your own needs. The feminine dude in Stargate, yeah. I did better praying in darkness with lighting a candle at a church. Absolutely. The Bhagavad Gita, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. Martians are not green. Okay. That's okay. I like to think of him as green. Keep watching and listening. If we keep watching and listening, says Mark Center Saint, we won't see or listen to the ones, including us, that are already here. I am convinced more than ever before that this idea of waiting for someone to come is causing us to miss the fact that we're already here. Wouldn't that be something if we're the gods that we've been waiting for? Wouldn't that be something if we're the blue avians that we've been waiting for, and we've been waiting here the whole time? Melanie says she believes this. Pure evil can only reach the fifth destiny or density, somebody says. Okay. Top of the morning. This is good stuff. Sanskrit's the mother of all languages. I wouldn't doubt that, Guru Prasad. These gods will find you, and you may find that you're these gods. Wendy says, I believe we are the new gods. I do. I believe we are the new gods. I really do. I know it's a comic book. You can laugh if you want. You can laugh if you want. I've always felt like an alien amongst humans. Stephen, you might be. Steve, you might be. Misty Gale was just contemplating that scripture this morning. That's called synchronicity, Misty. Hope you're doing great. What about the power of favor? It works. It works. I remember the black, red, white object lesson from the church camp. Yeah. What if they are an inserted AI program? Could be. We're going to merge timelines and thus merge with our higher selves. That could very well be. Great point about religion, teaching you have a black heart. They always teach you that. And then when they want you to wash it in blood, which is, blood doesn't clean anything. Come on. The heart is so full of wisdom. That's why religion's attacked there, says Deborah L. Smith, Breaking Dawn. Beautifully, powerfully stated. Missy says she's watching this whole video through faucets of tears. Thank you. I know that they're good tears. Are there techniques to open the heart chakra? Absolutely, we can teach you. Jeff Air is right. Thank you, Guru Prasad. Meditation trains and exercise your mind. That in tandem with your physical workouts are a powerful combo. I am learning that. Day 2 of a fast. Sandra did get not notified. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I checked your channel and the bell is on. Wow, Jeff, you're doing great. Remember you telling us months ago to close our chakras off. You've transformed so much just in my viewing time. Thank you, Shane. And I'm not certain that it wasn't helpful at that time, but that time has passed. Purification comes from fire. I recently heard that we're all an AI program. Yeah, let's stop riding that horse, okay? Know your ego. I always thought I looked goddish, says Matt. Okay. Good for you, bro. I grew up being abused with the Old Testament. A lot of us did. I'm thinking the body's more a prison. It is a prison. Ruthie went to summer camp with the nuns, or Catherine did. It took Z 7 years to get rid of that stuff. Jeff, you seem a little better since your live session with Wayne, but that thorn still seems to poke at you in your message. Nah, I'm good. I'm calling down favor on those that love me. I'm calling down favor on those that hate me. I'm calling down favor on myself. I'm really good. Jeff knows a little bit about Hinduism. Thank you, Guru. Learning about Thoth and the Emerald Tablets. Yep, it's good stuff. Would very much like to learn how to transform negative intentions and use the energy. Breaking Dawn. Watched my program yesterday about the alchemy of, what was it called? The alchemy of psychic self-defense. It's very simple. It's very easy. I still have a lot of my old comic books. I never read comic books. The body can be viewed as a temple, not a prison. It can be transformed from a temple into a prison. There's no doubt about it. Well, folks, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your attention. And you really do honor me by being here. I think that is some great information for you to consider about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I think we'll try to finish up Tablet 1 later today. Great stuff. Best chat room on YouTube. Jeff, you're speaking of the knowledge of Mark Passio. He's an ex-dark occultist and tells us that one of the agenda is making us wait for a savior while they take over. I've tried to get in contact with Mark. He's a little bit hard to get in contact with, but I would welcome contact with him, would certainly welcome him to be on the show, and would be glad to be on his show. So please do contact Mark. You have my permission. And Ruthie feels the good vibes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is the New Cosmic Knowledge Channel. And on behalf of Sandra D, let me say to you, we appreciate you. We welcome you to work with us, serpentanddove.org, rawreflections.org, jeffreydaugherty.com. Go to our YouTubes and subscribe. I salute all of you that are here seeking after truth. And remember, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free, and only you can unindoctrinate yourself. And that, my friends, is an inside job. For Sandra D, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, and we'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being open. And thank you so much for being dissatisfied with where we are and working hard to be who and where we're meant to be. Until next time, all my best. Love and light, peace and favor, be you friend or foe. That's what I wish for you. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Take care. We'll see you again real soon.